Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone else. Why did I look at you when I said everyone else?
Well, this time it's going to be an American European movie. It's an older movie, Jack Strong, and this movie is about an Polish army officer who worked for NATO as a spy in the Eastern European bloc. This is what I know about Jack Strong. That's the name of the movie, and that's how he used to be called. It's that's what I read about it, and immediately it reminded me about the Bridge of Spies somehow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But we'll see if if there are similarities between them. Let's watch the movie. Bridge of Spies?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Uh-huh. Okay. An incredible story. Really, and it's not because this is something that a person would never think of doing. But the way it's told and the way and the fact that this really happened. I mean, the courage of these kinds of people.
There was all along, there was some sort of innocence in him, sort of childish attitude, like
almost a bit of naivete.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like he couldn't do any other way. He couldn't be any other way. And I guess that was intentionally portrayed that way, because I don't know if that's really how he was as a real life person.
Yes.
But the idea that these kinds of people, they have within themselves a certain moral compass, a certain personal integrity that allows them, in the middle of these incredibly complex and conflicted situations, where you can reason your way one direction or the other, or the other, or the other, they somehow have this clarity of vision, which allows them, which helps them to choose the path they chose. And I think that a lot of it has to do with this quality of, you simply don't compromise. You don't compromise yourself. The moment you make one compromise, that weakens your integrity. It opens the door to future compromises. And I guess that's the way it was presented on screen, is he is a person who just simply, as a child, doesn't have the sophistication to compromise himself. Again, I won't say that's how he was in real life, but I feel like that was brought out as in a nice way in the movie.
He reminded me of that Russian officer. I don't remember his name right now. The Russian officer who was in charge with the USSR's shield against Western missiles, and who their radars misread a beam of light coming from the sun.
I remember something about that.
And on the radar, it showed that there are missiles coming from America towards Moscow, and the rule was that you engage. You don't call anyone, you don't ask anybody, you engage. There's no time. And yet he didn't. Under a huge pressure, he felt that something must be wrong. and he didn't make the order, and so he saved the world.
And I'm also reminded of what I've read about one of the officers. It's been such a long time. I don't quote me on the details, but I believe it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I believe that it was the commanding officer on a Russian submarine, and I believe that he was ordered to fire or something like that, or he couldn't get communication from headquarters, and so it was up to him, and he was supposed to fire if he couldn't get communication. Anyway, again, he withheld, he held off, and it was only found out later how incredibly close.
Yes.
In fact, we could say even overdue the moment was for, everything to blow up.
Yeah. So
this is kind of the same area of personal courage and judgment, and the incredible difference it made during that era of time. Because although it didn't really dwell on it was more about his story and his communications. It didn't really dwell so much, but I gathered that if he had not passed this information to the U.S.,
there's no way of knowing.
But it's very likely.
Yes.
Very likely that things could have ended up much worse.
Yes. And the reason I was reminded of that Russian officer in charge that night of the missiles is because I always had in my mind that these people are somehow, in a way, the guardians of freedom and democracy.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Okay, we know about Richard, about Jack Strong. We know about him because he became Kuklinski. Right. He became the first or the only foreign citizen who was awarded the medal.
I don't know about only, but first
for sure.
Foreigner, because it was said in the movie, the first foreigner to receive this medal from the United States, which was the foreign intelligence.
Yes. And so, okay, we know about him because eventually his case was made public. He paid a great price, as we saw in the movie as well. But look, most of these people, the truth is that they remain unknown.
Yeah.
They they do, their names there, they cannot be made public.
We will never know.
And so, and these people, they risk everything.
They exist, and many times they didn't just risk, they actually lost.
They lose. Yeah. They lose life or family or whatever.
I mean, that was even shown in the movie, sort of with the previous
the Russian spy
informer.
The Russian spy. Yes.
And this Kuklinski was kind of considered by the U.S. as the next great one. But
then they said that his service was way greater than surpassed. Yeah. And so these people which are doing what they're doing because of what you said, it's something that they have very strong feelings about, and nothing matters more in this life for them. So they are willing to, die. Some are ending up even worse, tortured, but they do it.
And it gives me this burning curiosity. And I'm sure that most probably I will never know. We will never know. Maybe somewhere down the line, some of the stories will come out. But I want to know, who are these people that are doing such things today, right now? Because, we all watch the news and we all feel this tension and this uncertainty with the state of the world. And we all know that things are on edge, and we all have, on one side or another, political side or another, we have our fears about some leader or another leader and the way they handle such things, and we think that there's such great incompetence and selfishness in the leaders around the world, and we think, how long is it going to take for them to blow us all up? But we should never forget that just as back then, I am absolutely positive that there are such people today, right this moment, doing what they know needs to be done, preserving their integrity, and, in a way, saving the world.
Yeah, definitely.
And, I just wish that I knew who they were and I knew what they were doing. I would love to know. Obviously, I can't.
What was the memorable scene for you?
I guess, of course, their escape was
Okay, that was
a bit adrenaline
Mhm.
inducing, but there were a couple of humorous moments too. For example, when they were being surveilled on the street just prior to their escape, and then finally those guys couldn't stand it anymore and they just had to rush in and start tearing things up. And then it comes out that they went into the neighbor's house and tore up the neighbor's house instead of his house. Here's something that I have a hard time believing. And each time it happened in the movie, I was like, you've got to be joking. The signaling system,
Yes.
which Kuklinski was told to use to communicate with his contacts. What sort of idiocy is that? Really, I have a hard time believing that the United States and the Western allies, with all their sophistication and the incredible value they placed on Kuklinski and what he was giving them, that they would give him such a, I don't know, I want to say prehistoric, juvenile,
Chalk on the wall signs.
Green hand, like
Yes.
this can't be. It's so easily traced. I don't know.
Especially in that neighborhood where everybody was military, and
you go draw a symbol on the wall. Everyone's going to know you're signaling someone something somewhere.
Yeah.
What sort of joke is this? Anyway, that I don't know if it truly happened. If it is, I'm thinking, well, there's another example of gross incompetence among the leaders. And even Kuklinski himself was telling them, we have to come up with a different signaling system. This is too dangerous.
Yes. For me, somehow the scene when he meets, I guess it's the second or the third time he meets the American officer there. I guess it's some sort of church somewhere. You see those. And he behaves and he talks like,
oh yes,
like no problem. And the American officer says, well, something like, what's wrong, or what's going on, or what are you? And then I remember Richard says, oh, I forgot. I was just behaving normal for a moment.
Yeah, and well, he said something like, I guess I felt like I would finally be able to speak to someone normally, or something like that.
And the same American officer was reminded back at the CIA quarters, remember, he's not your friend. You are his handler.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And yet it's like they were trying hard, but they couldn't find, they couldn't fight against the friendship which were starting to, simply because Richard was so, he was, you could see it on his face. And by the way, the actor was great. That it was the only moment when he could breathe.
Yeah.
He could, other than that, he was tense. I mean, the stress that the guy went through, years on end with 2 kids, with a family.
Yeah. Okay, there's another scene or another part of the movie that was really kind of eloquent, and that is the other officer whom Kuklinski knew and who ended up being one of those on the street putting down that uprising up in the other city.
In Dansk.
Dansk. And he brings him, and he comes back, and they're meeting, they're talking, and that officer and
at New Year's Eve.
Yeah, Kuklinski asks, "Did you shoot?" And the other officer says, "Of course I shot. We all shot.
We all did.
Yeah. We shot and we cried, but we shot." And then later, I forget who said what, but there was this a conversation about it can't be him because he was in Dansk.
And he shot.
And there was another something said about okay, so he's a conflicted. In other words, it's recognized and it's brought out in this movie the conflicted nature and the personal torment that these people have to endure once they compromise themselves. And Kuklinski is portrayed
and he finally killed himself.
And Kuklinski is portrayed as being, it's shown as night and day. These people are just inwardly tormented and mixed up and torn apart, and it's a torture to exist. And here's Kuklinski, who is living the tensest existence.
But he's alive.
But he is so vibrant, and he's so, again, this sort of innocent simplicity about him. And the contrast is really strongly conveyed in this movie.
Yes. Now that you brought this up, the same thing happened in Czechoslovakia, and this is how the movie starts with the because he was the one who put up the plan for Czechoslovakia, the spring there, and then in Dansk, but the Eastern Bloc was not ready yet. It was to happen at the end of 1989. So in Czechoslovakia, the army was out on the streets against the civilians, and they shot the civilians. That's what happened. In Dansk, in Poland, up in north, it's a sea city. They took the army on the street against the citizens. The army shot. And then afterwards, in 1899, in Timișoara and in Bucharest, in Romania, the same thing happened. The soldiers, the army, not the police, the army was out on the street, which is, it's forbidden by law, right? But when they get an order, they're not in a position to say, hey, it's it's against the Constitution. They cannot do that. They have to follow the orders. They're soldiers.
Unless you're Kuklinski.
Well, yes, I'm talking about the soldiers, right? Same thing. They went out on the street. They shot people. They shot population. And then when things turned, when things turned, they turned when the army switched sides. That's when things turn. But you look in the history and you see that this is when army is brought out on the street. It's bad. It's bad. And that's what happened every time. And of course the Russians were involved everywhere. It was the Russians who were orchestrating, and they were ordering them what to do and what not.
Of course, you even see that in the chain of command that's and the plans that are being shown in this movie. It's direct from Russia.
Yes. So anyway, I would say it's a very, very good movie.
It's a very good
very good actors. I like the way the movie was made. It was not an American movie. They used Russian language. They used Polish language. Most of the time it was Polish.
Of course,
then American. But it was all just to help us be there and understand and get the feel of the situation. Yeah, really, really great movie. I enjoyed it. And do you know of any other movies like this? Let us know. We'll try to watch them all. We'll
Yeah.
see you next time.